Said very boldly, you could end this Ukrainian-Russia war in 24 hours.
Yeah, I would get a settlement in 24 hours. Now,
because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin.
That was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth, it's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
The promise was simple, audacious, and politically brilliant. End the Ukraine war in 24 hours. 6 months later, that promise lies in ruins amid a grim theater, where all actors pretend their script is working. Republicans praise bold diplomacy that forced Putin to the table. Democrats decry reckless appeasement that nearly abandoned an ally. Both are lying by omission. The truth isn't in press releases, but in the grinding arithmetic. 104 Russian soldiers dying for every square kilometer gained. Maternity wards hit by missiles while diplomats talk peace. And every leader claiming victory while the maps barely move. Military capabilities are facts, not opinions. Attrition math ignores campaign promises. And the evidence reveals something darker than failure. A war where continuation serves more interest than conclusion. The series of peace talks between February and July 2025 were doomed because they weren't negotiations. They were a collision of three irreconcilable worldviews, each operating in its own reality. First was Trump's transactional universe. The president approached Ukraine like the world's most complex real estate deal. Military aid wasn't alliance commitment, but leverage. Diplomatic support wasn't principled stance, but negotiable asset. This worldview crystallized during the February 28th Oval Office meeting. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having the cards, Trump told Zelensky before demanding access to Ukraine's $11.5 trillion in critical minerals. Zelensky's response cut through the pretense. I'm not playing cards. I'm very serious, Mr. President. For Trump, this was about closing a deal. For Zelensky, it was about national existence. Second was Putin's imperial imperative. For the former KGB officer, this war isn't border adjustment but civilizational restoration. His demands, unchanged since 2022, reveal the scope. Complete Ukrainian demilitarization, permanent neutrality, recognition of all occupied territories, and NATO rollback from Eastern Europe. While talking peace with Trump, Putin launched the war's largest attack, 728 drones and 13 missiles on July 4th. The message was unmistakable. Diplomacy is just another weapon, used to probe weakness, while military operations grind forward. Third was Zelensky's doctrine of survival. For Ukraine, forged in revolution and invasion, any territorial concession isn't compromise but extinction. Having seen Bucha and Mariupol, Ukrainian leadership knows what Russian occupation means. Their red lines are absolute. Restoration of 1991 borders, NATO membership as the only credible guarantee, and war crimes tribunals. These aren't negotiating positions. They're survival requirements born from a decade of Russian aggression. After 6 failed calls, Trump admitted the obvious on July 3rd. I didn't make any progress with him today at all. The collision of these worldviews, the deal maker, the empire builder, and the nation defender, created a diplomatic dead end. While diplomats performed their scripts, the battlefield delivered its verdict through merciless arithmetic. Russia controls 18.8 to 20% of Ukraine, gaining 466 square kilometers in June, down from 498 in May. These aren't victories. They're grinding advances of 135 meters daily near Pokrovsk, 50 meters near Kharkiv, slower than World War I's bloodiest stalemates. The human cost defies comprehension. Western intelligence estimates Russian casualties exceed 1 million, 250,000 killed, 700,000 wounded. Ukraine's losses approach 400,000 total, with 60,000 to 100,000 dead. But these numbers exist in propaganda fog. Russia claims minimal losses. Ukraine inflates enemy casualties. Both classify real figures as state secrets. The only verifiable truth: both armies keep fighting despite catastrophic losses, proving neither has achieved decision. Equipment tells the same contested story. Ukraine claims 5-to-1 kill ratios. Russia claims the inverse. Open source intelligence suggests 2-to-1 to 3-to-1 favoring Ukraine, varying by sector. What's undeniable? Russia loses 1,200 to 1,500 soldiers daily for villages neither side can hold. That's 100 Russian lives per square kilometer of devastated land, a ratio that makes Verdun look efficient. The air war has evolved into technological horror. Russia's July 4th barrage achieved nothing strategic, but killed 2, wounded 26, and terrorized millions. A July 11th strike on Kharkiv's maternity ward forced evacuation of newborns amid falling debris, deliberate targeting of hope itself. Ukraine responds with drone swarms reaching Moscow, destroying 1041 Russian aircraft in single June strikes. The democratization of air power through cheap commercial drones has revolutionized killing without revolutionizing outcomes. This is attrition in its purest form, not brilliant maneuvers or breakthrough operations. Just industrial-scale grinding where geography, Ukrainian fortifications, minefields, dragon's teeth obstacles, channels Russian forces into kill zones. Both militaries are destroying themselves for meters of mud. The only winners are those selling the weapons. Trump's aid freezes, February 8th, May 15th, July 2nd. Each claimed readiness concerns despite Pentagon assessments finding no risk. The real purpose was leverage, forcing Ukraine toward negotiations by withholding Patriots while missiles fell. 155mm shells while artillery stayed silent. HIMARS while Russians massed. The July pause blindsided everyone. State learned from reporters, Congress from constituents, allies from empty warehouses. The cascade effect shattered American strategy. Faced with sudden unreliability, Europe panicked into action. Germany pledged 9 billion euros for 2025, offering to buy American Patriots specifically for Ukraine. France promised 2 billion euros with every 2025 Caesar howitzer going to the front. Britain sealed deals for 5,000 air defense missiles. The America First pressure tactic achieved the opposite of its intent, accelerating European strategic autonomy. By July 7, Trump reversed completely. They have to defend themselves, he declared, resuming all shipments. Putin's intransigence and continued civilian targeting forced the administration back to the policy it tried to escape. The whiplash achieved the worst of all worlds, demonstrating American unreliability while providing weapons anyway, encouraging Russian aggression while spurring European independence. NATO's response was historic. At June's Hague summit, members pledged 5% GDP defense spending by 2035, double current levels. Germany from 65 billion euros to 195 billion euros annually, France to 165 billion euros, Britain to 180 billion pounds. These aren't sustainable figures. They're panic spending by nations realizing American guarantees expire every election. Chancellor Scholz stated the new reality: we cannot assume American reliability beyond any single administration. But Europe's strategic autonomy looks more like every nation for itself. Britain forms coalitions of willing. France explores independent nuclear guarantees. Poland signs bilateral treaties. European aid now exceeds American, 60% of the total, projected to reach 80% by 2026. Not from generosity, but desperation. Yet European defense industries can't scale fast enough. Ammunition bottlenecks persist. The gap between ambition and capability yawns wide. The mathematics of exhaustion now drive everything. Russia keeps 20% of Ukraine but faces eternal sanctions, NATO expansion, and Chinese vassalage as its economy craters. Putin's attrition theory works only if victory means mutual destruction. Ukraine maintains independence, but loses territory, population, and economic viability. Zelensky's maximalist demands ensure Western support, but preclude any settlement. America reduces immediate costs but forfeits global leadership. Trump's transactionalism achieved opposite results. More European spending, less American influence. Europe gains independence at ruinous cost. The 5% GDP target means choosing between welfare states and warfare states. China watches everyone exhaust themselves, buying Russian resources at discount, extending influence without firing a shot. Beijing's strategy is masterful. Let others bleed while you feed. Here's what nobody admits. This might be the intended outcome. A frozen conflict serves many interests. Russia keeps enough territory to claim victory without total war's costs. Ukraine maintains enough sovereignty to claim survival, without compromises humiliation. America withdraws without abandoning allies completely. Europe justifies massive military spending. Defense contractors profit globally. Politicians declare themselves tough while achieving nothing. The only losers? The actual people dying. But they don't make policy. Analysts project by 2026, 1.5 million total casualties, though propaganda makes distribution unknowable. $1 trillion in economic damage if anyone's accounting holds. 25% of Ukraine depopulated through flight and death. European defense spending economically unsustainable, American credibility permanently fractured. These assume linear continuation. Wars rarely stay linear. Yet every off-ramp leads somewhere worse than continuing, creating a doom loop where immense human cost seems preferable to political cost of compromise. Everyone lied because everyone needed to believe their own lies. Trump promised 24-hour peace but delivered 6-month stalemate. Putin promised swift victory but delivered generational catastrophe. Zelensky promised total liberation but delivered heroic paralysis. Europe promised unwavering unity but delivered every nation scrambling for itself. The failure wasn't personal but structural. When one side sees existence at stake, another sees empire at stake, a third sees credibility at stake, and a fourth sees security at stake, no deal satisfies anyone. The war continues not because anyone's winning, but because everyone fears losing more than they hate fighting. Every diplomatic breakthrough crashes against this reality. Russia can't conquer Ukraine, Ukraine can't expel Russia, America can't impose solutions, Europe can't guarantee security. The real question historians will debate: did a third option exist? Could robust security guarantees plus pragmatic territorial compromise have saved hundreds of thousands of lives? That path was never explored because it offered no clear win for any domestic audience. Political survival trumped human survival. What killed the 24-hour peace wasn't Trump or Putin or Zelensky. It was something more fundamental: the stubborn refusal of reality to bend to political will. Campaign promises dissolve when they hit the Donbas mud. Diplomatic theater can't change the physics of a patriot intercepting a hypersonic missile. And the arithmetic of attrition keeps its own merciless count, indifferent to what any leader needs to believe for political survival. In 18 months, without breakthrough, Russia may control all Donbas at the cost of another 500,000 casualties. Ukraine's economy will survive on Western life support. Europe will face the bill for rearmament just as economies slow. America will still debate whether to enable victory or merely prevent defeat. China will have gained more influence without deploying a single soldier. And soldiers will still die for meters of mud, while diplomats pretend their next call will change everything. The question isn't who's telling the truth. Nobody is. Russia's casualty figures are fiction, Ukraine's victory claims equally suspect. America pretends it still leads, while Europe pretends it's united. Everyone's cooking the books because admitting reality would mean admitting failure. The question is whether exhaustion arrives before catastrophe. Current trajectory suggests we'll test those limits, while everyone claims they're winning a war that has already destroyed everything worth fighting for. What's your assessment? Can external mediation break this deadlock when internal dynamics favor continuation? Will economic exhaustion force settlement before military collapse? Or have we entered an era where permanent conflict becomes the system, not the aberration? Because understanding this war means recognizing that all parties have chosen indefinite suffering over any available solution. The 24-hour peace never had 24 seconds of possibility.